tuning in today, everyone. I just want to let you know my book is out and available on Amazon and Barnes& Noble. The name is Parents, Our Greatest Teachers. And now, back to our episode. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today, I am super excited. We have Tresa Rivera. She's a hypnotherapist and a human design coach or analyst, which is what we're going to be talking about today. The human design, I think it's getting a little bit popular out there. People are like, what is this human thing? Like, what are we doing? And so I think it's going to be super cool to really talk about the whole topic, what it is, how do we do this, where do we start, and all that. But before that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became this coach and hypnotherapist and all these things.
Yeah. Man, that's a great question. How did I get here? Yeah, so I had been in self-development for a long time, right? Studying, Abraham Hicks and Eckhart Tolle and, Barbara Doss, like really studying in, Louise Hay. And I had found myself about 6.5 years ago, pregnant with my son and extremely sick with a very rare autoimmune disease. In pregnancy, it was excruciatingly painful, and they told me that I would have it basically, for the rest of my life. And I was at that point that I realized everything I had learned in self-development, I didn't really know, because if I had known it, I wouldn't have been sick. And so I really started to dive deep and get into meditation and Dr. Joe Dispenza and really started to heal my body. And shortly after that, I found hypnotherapy. And I realized that the reason why I had gotten so sick is because I had so many suppressed emotions and traumas that were unhealed. All of these triggers inside of me, my subconscious mind was playing a type of record, a certain frequency. And no matter how much I thought, my conscious mind thought that I had healed, I had all of these wounds that kept coming out and controlling my behavior and triggering me into these horrible emotional tailspins, right? Low self-esteem, the works. And so when I started to work through hypnotherapy, I started to heal those inner wounds. And to my surprise, they went away. The emotions around the trauma went away. I can truly think back to the traumas that I've been through in my life. I feel nothing. It's like I talk about them as if they had happened to someone else, because all of the emotions are drained out of it for me. And I started disconnecting past emotions, and I was really able to step into all of the things I had learned in self-development. I couldn't be it. And after hypnotherapy, I was able to truly embody all of those lessons I learned. So that's when I had started my, I was like, I need to help other people. I want to be a hypnotherapist. It changed my whole life. And within a year of starting my hypnotherapy business, before I was a hypnotherapist, I was a coach for a little bit. I was like, I want to be a health coach. I'm going to be a life coach and use hypnotherapy techniques. And I was just seeing amazing results through hypnotherapy. And I just shifted. I just said, you know what? I'm going to be a hypnotherapist. I'm going to get certified with the American Board of Hypnotherapy. I'm going to get certified with Dolores Cannon, right? And about a year after I found hypnotherapy, I discovered human design. And it is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's given me the ability to help every single person the way that they were designed to be, as opposed to looking at everybody like they're the same and everybody needs the same thing to heal or to learn or to grow. I use it to navigate my hypnotherapy sessions. And then I'm also in human design school, and I do human design chart analysis, and I offer continual support around coaching, which is basically helping people step into their human design. It's kind of a way of life. It's a way for you to embody all of your powerful empowerment the way you were designed to be.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, it's almost like your blueprint. I know I heard some people describe it that way. Tell us a little bit more about that. I know what is human design? I know we mentioned it's like the way you need to do things, but people are like, wait,
Yeah.
but I thought that was that's what I'm doing. What is this whole human design like? Where it comes from? How do we do it? How do we know it's works?
Mhm. Yeah. So human design is based off of four ancient systems. Now, it uses Western astrology, it uses aspects of the Jewish Kabbalah, it uses your chakra system, and it uses the Chinese I Ching. Now, the Chinese I Ching was kind of known as the Book of Fortune. And when modern science discovered our DNA, it turns out that the exact same structure of the 64 hexagrams in the Chinese I Ching is the exact same mathematical equation and structure of the 64 codons in your DNA. So human design is about genetics. It's about the physical body. It is a quite literally a blueprint of the physical aspects of your design, of your body. Now, this body that we live in, I mean, this is a vehicle. And we have these brilliant minds that are inside of this vehicle. And human design helps us understand the aspects of the mind, the personality, and helps us understand the aspects of the body, the vehicle. And it teaches that the mind was never meant to make decisions for the body. The body was always meant to make decisions for itself. We are living in this amazing simulated program, and these bodies are running in this program. Our bodies know exactly what is correct for us, and our minds treat our bodies like a slave. Our minds are so conditioned to believe that they know what is good for us and what is bad. I mean, look at modern diet culture, where the mind says, "Oh, I can't eat this amount of calorie," and the body says, "I'm hungry," and the mind says, "You're not allowed to eat that," and the body's like, "I don't want to exercise right now," and the mind says, "You have to work, you have to exercise," and the
Right.
body says, "I'm tired." Right? The mind was not ever meant to make decisions. And so human design is a way to understand not just your genetics, but within the genetic system, you have an aura, an electromagnetic field that emanates around all of us, right? We're electromagnetic beings. We're constantly coming up with other people with their energy. And every time we do, we condition them and they condition us in certain aspects. So in human design, there's 5 different types, really 4. One is split up into 2, and each has their own auric field. And these types essentially help us understand how our energy is meant to operate. It gives us a strategy and an authority. So your strategy is like your game plan. What type of aura do you have, and what's your game plan in this life? How are you going to operate? What are you going to do when you leave this conversation and you walk into the real world? It really helps you understand, what do I do with this information? And your authority is your decision making process. And it's called the inner authority because it goes back to different parts of our body. There are a very small percentage of people who have no inner authority, and that's a whole nother ball of wax over there. But for 97% of people, there
Mhm.
is a consistent guidance system within you. And as long as you know what that guidance system is and you follow your strategy, it is a black and white, clear cut system for you to operate correctly any decision that you make in this life. And once you make a decision that's correct for you step into the life you were designed to be. Things around you shift, people in your life change. It's a really quite a powerful experience to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. I've had sessions where we go over my human design and things like that. And then it just to kind of like illustrate a little bit, one of the things that it really came to shock me was that part of my blueprint was that I am a multitasker. And
Mm,
I always knew that, like, I am, even like now in my adult life, I'm juggling a lot of different projects all at once, or even like in 1 hour, I'm doing a lot of things at once. And I've always felt driven by doing a lot of things at once. And I remember being a child, a very young kid, and my mom or other adults will be like, stop, you gotta do one thing at a time. And it will really affect me in
Hmm.
a very deep way. And I never understood it. Why? Because in my head, I was like, but I could do all these things. Like I am doing all these things at once. Like I am able to it. And I always knew it. And it was quite funny when, I was doing this analysis on my blueprints a few months ago. This person was telling me like, well, you were meant to multitask. You're a good multitasker. You work better multitasking. And when they told me that, I was like, it makes so much sense in my head. And just
Yeah.
to like illustrate one of the things that you can find out about yourself, I'm not saying by all means that everybody are multitaskers. We're all different, as you mentioned. But I thought it was like one of the coolest and greatest things for someone to tell me, because it really gave me that empowerment, as you were mentioning. And like, I so embrace it now. And I'm like, wait, no, like when people are like, do one thing at a time, or why don't you do this project? This, like, just one, start one, finish one. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I actually understand that I could do a lot of things at once and be good at it. And it was so liberating. It was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, from my perspective as a hypnotherapist, so many people have emotional wounds exactly because of what you just said, because they're being raised to believe that how they are is wrong or bad, that they shouldn't be that way, and that they should be this other way. They should be this other person. And it
Yeah.
simply isn't true. The second that you stop being you, the second that you put everything down and try to do one thing at a time, that's when you fall apart. That's when you start to get
Yes.
frustrated. That's when life doesn't work out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's all about this concept that we are homogenized to be the same. And we're not. They call it the science of differentiation, understanding our differences, embracing them, and encouraging our uniqueness and giving us a permission slip to be us. Like, here's your permission slip. You're a multitasker. Tell the world this is how you're designed to
Yeah.
be, and you're perfect.
Yeah. No, I wish, mom would have noticed, like my parents,
Yeah.
because it almost starts from there. If all the parents in the world, just hypothetically, they will know um what type their kids are. Some of them are not meant to be multitasking. And maybe the parent is like, why don't you do this? I need you to do all this. And the kid is like, it's too much. Like,
Yes.
I want to do one thing at a time. It will be so, like, that will be the dream. That will be so
Yeah.
amazing. And I know we're like going to all, out of the topic a little bit here, but tell us a little bit about, I know there's different, you said there's 4 types. Can you explain us a little bit? So like
Yeah. I would
our audience
love
can,
to.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, within the four types, so the largest percentage of the population are considered generator types. Now, within generators, there's two separate types. There's a pure generator, and then there's a manifesting generator. Pure generators are one step at a time, one thing and then the next, and they make it to different levels. Manifesting generators, which is, I assume, what
Yeah.
you are.
Yes.
Yeah, they're really, again, multitaskers. You're not really designed to go, you're designed to just kind of start. You're more circular thinkers and learners. You want to go really fast, and your brain works at such a faster processing speed that you want to skip steps and then come back ahead, where the pure generator is really just chugging along, plucking along, one thing after the next, mastering it. Now, it's interesting because if you took a generator and a manifesting generator and you gave them the same job that they want to do, the pure generator would just do one thing after the other, while the manifesting generator would skip ahead and then loop back around, and then skip ahead and loop back around, and you both make it at the same time. It's just a
Really?
different style of learning. Manifesting
Okay.
generators work so fast that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you miss things. And
I
then you
do.
have to come back around to learn the lessons. And that's perfect. That's how you were designed to work.
Right.
It's like that's beautiful.
So true.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
all generator types are here to build our world. You are the energy types. You have the most energy of any of the types. You are the reason why our world exists. The world could exist without any other type other than generators. You have the life force and the vitality and the energy of our planet comes from
Get
all
chills.
generators. Yes, it's true. It's true. And within being a generator, all of you have such different, unique aspects that can be broken. And so sometimes I'll come across somebody who's like, oh, I'm just a generator. And it's like, no, you are the builder of our planet and you have a very unique chart, just like a snowflake. Nobody is like you in this whole world. Now, generators have a open an enveloping aura. When you walk into a room, everybody feels your energy. It's like it's open and it's porous, and you walk into a room and you give somebody a little hug and they feel your energy. Now, if you're in a bad mood, they're going to feel your energy too. You walk into that room with all your doom and gloom and they're going to feel it from you. Now, the projector is the next kind of type, and it's about 20% of the population. Projectors are the coaches, the guides, the leaders. They're really here to help direct us, help guide us on as to what we're here to do in this life. They have a penetrating aura. Projectors' aura is like a bow and arrow. So their aura, as soon as you get close to them, will actually go into your energy field and penetrate your identity center. And when you recognize the projector,
Mm-hmm.
they can give you brilliant insights and into what you want to know, want to learn. And it's not always them giving you advice. A lot of times it's them asking you questions, right? Like a really good coach will just start asking you questions so that you can know what's best for you. They kind of tap into one person at a time, and they have this little type of like energetic psychic ability by penetrating into somebody's aura. Beyond the projector, you have manifestor, who's 9% of the population, and they're black sheep. They're designed to impact. Manifestors are really designed to initiate. They're designed to start things, and they just get the ball rolling. They're the only type in human design that is designed to take action right away, which is something that has been a misconception in our society for a long time. I mean, think about it. We're all raised, and the narrative is, if you want something in life, you got to go out and get it. It's the American dream. Take action. What are your action steps? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is only correct for a manifestor. As a matter of fact, if a manifestor doesn't take action, nothing in their life will work ever. As for generators and projectors, if they take action before following their authority, it won't work for them. They fail, they get frustrated, they get bitter. And this is why human design, and then, they get upset with the manifestor because why did their action work and mine didn't? Because you're a different type. And if you operate under these parameters, that's when the action is correct for you, right? Manifestors have a closed and repelling aura. So when a manifestor walks into the room, they actually energetically push the auras away of other people. And they're designed to do this because when they're in a creative flow, when they're doing something, they need to be protected. They need to be able to initiate and impact. And because of this, they come off sometimes a lot of people just don't like them. Let's just say it. Some people love them. Some people are just energetically turned off by them, but it's because they have a closed and repellent aura. And then you get to reflectors, which are only 1% of the population. Reflectors are magical unicorns. They are literally here as a mirror to you. They help you see your blind spots. They sample, their aura is sampling. So they come up to you and they taste a little bit of you, and then they're able to reflect back to you their judgments and opinions on how you're doing. and how you could be doing it better. And they're designed to be the center of a community so that we can all look back. The easiest way to explain human design is that life is like a play. Life is like a play. And within a play, you have actors, and generators are the actors. You, my friend, are the stars of the show. You're building everything, you're putting everything together. You're the reason why we exist. Now, in a play, you have directors. Those are the projectors. They're on the sidelines guiding the generators. How are we going to build this world, right? Now, then you have the manifestors. Those are the screenwriters. Those are the ones off in the corner writing the scripts, initiating the plays, impacting the world with the scripts that they write. And then you have the reflectors, who are, it's like that critically acclaimed movie critic. They're the audience, right? They sit and they watch the play and they tell us if it sucks. I want to see your play again. It was so good. Or that was horrible, you guys. Start over.
Right.
When we all understand our unique type and our unique role, we're then able to work in harmony and unison to be the best versions of ourselves and our society that we can be.
Yeah, for sure. And funny thing, it just came to my mind. I know like all cultures, like the Greeks, they have people separated in different categories almost. Some of them were the artists, some of them were the warriors, some of were the people with wisdom or the librarians or whatever. And it seemed to have such a harmony and actually kind of worked. I wonder if they knew a little bit or understood a little bit of this human design thing, just out of the conversation. But it just made me really think about how like some old cultures really had these very specific people that did certain things within their society.
Yeah. Now we're going through a spiritual evolution right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're evolving spiritually. Way back in the day, back in the day, we would have kings and queens, and then they would have their slaves, who would just, they would make them build right. That's how it was for a long time on our planet. It wasn't until I think 1780 something, don't quote me on that, when the mutation occurred, projectors started to come out, a new type. But before then, it was really just manifestors, who were the kings and queens, and generators. And the manifestors would take all of the sacral power of the generator and force them into working, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going through this spiritual evolution where projectors came out because generators are designed to do what they want to do. Have you noticed when you do things that you don't want to do, you cut yourself off from all of your energy?
Mm-hmm.
You're tired, you're frustrated, you're stuck. And so this spiritual evolution and the way this kind of weird hierarchy we have is really, generators hold all the power. You do, your sacral energy, you hold all of the power in this world. But you can't access that power without somebody asking you questions. So you go to the projector and you recognize the projector and you ask them, and then they start asking you questions and you gain access to what's correct for you. And they get recognized. That's what the projector needs. The projector needs recognition. You need to be asked questions, right? Manifestors are still initiating, we're still out here like getting the ball rolling, impacting people, making big impact in the world. And then all reflectors are just telling us how we're doing, giving us these amazing insights and feedbacks. And so absolutely, there still is this kind of weird structure within all of the types. It's really interesting to think about.
It is. What are some of the things that when you're analyze these blueprints for someone, what are some of the changes that you notice the most when people have the knowledge of what their actually type are?
Yeah. Most people, a lot of people cry when they get that recognition. It's like, I've never met you before, but how do you know all of it? It's like, me, you know all these things about me. Most people just feel deeply understood and recognized, first of all. Um, a lot of people, it's hard for them to step in to their human design experiment. And what I mean by that is actually following your strategy and authority on a regular basis, right? It's like we have so many people in our society that are locked into jobs that they hate, partners that they aren't really happy with, obligations that they have to do because of guilt or fear or whatever. And so it's really hard to tell a generator who's working a 9 to 5 job that they hate, well, you got to do what you want to do, right?
Mm.
It's really hard to tell somebody. I mean, they're like, I can't quit my job. I have kids. And so in the beginning, it's all about um, baby steps, helping them just really connect what is your strategy and authority and what does that mean in real life?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to use this tomorrow? And so a lot of the people, they just walk away feeling deeply seen and heard. And even if they don't start following their strategy and authority right away, they recognize that their life is broken. They recognize that they're not living the life they were designed to be, but they could be. They could live the life that they were designed to be. And within that recognition, there's a lot of people that just take slow steps into human design. And then there's people like me. I had my first reading and I was like, done. I'm entering my experiment. My life completely changed within the first 9 months of following my strategy and authority. Right. And so, yeah. So, like for people like me, where you're just like, I'm going all in, I'm going to dive in. This is who I'm designed. I mean, everything changed in my life. When I mean everything, we ended up moving houses. We ended up buying a house. My job took off. The type of clients I was attracting completely changed. The type of people I was attracting into my life completely changed. Relationships that I thought were good for me, I had to let go of them because I was acting as somebody I wasn't designed to be, attracting people that weren't good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so there's all sorts of benefits that people see once they start to like step into their experiment.
That's awesome. And how I know I've done it before, but for everybody that's listening, what exactly happened when someone decides to get a consultation or like a coaching session, and like what really happens in that session when people are like, I want to know what's my human design, maybe because I'm curious, or maybe because life is not going the way I want, and I feel like this can help me. What does what happens in that session?
That's a great question. When I do like chart analysis, it's about an hour and a half session. I do it over Zoom and I share my screen so that my client can see what I'm looking at. And you've seen a human design chart. Those of you that are listening, if you've never seen a human design body graph, Google it. They're weird.
Right.
You're like, what the hell am I looking at? This means nothing to me, right? And so with the clients, I will go through the major aspects of their chart. And if we have time, I'll start to get into the very little specific details. But usually within an hour and a half, it's so much information. I could read a chart for 3 hours, right? But it's too
Wow.
much. You can't take that much in. And really, the most important thing is understanding your strategy and authority. But within a chart reading session, I will typically go over, again, strategy, authority, and profile. Profile is another major aspect of your human design chart. It's just this archetypal energy that expresses itself in every aspect of your life, understanding your profile, and then understanding your definition, which essentially means the little, when you look at your human design chart, you have the chakra system.
Mm-hmm.
And human design runs off of a 9-centered chakra system
Yeah.
as opposed to a 7-centered system. And so within it, some of the boxes are colored in and some of the boxes are not. And so we talk about what that means. And, you have gates and channels, again, for those of you listening. And I know that this sounds like a foreign language. But again, that's why we do analysis, is so that you can understand what we're talking about. And then I think it's very important to go over incarnation cross, which is something I do with my clients, which is essentially your purpose here, what you're designed to do in this life. And so for me, it's the meat and potatoes. What the client, I want my clients to take this information and I want them to be able to understand it and apply it into their life.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk a little bit about incarnation. What does that mean?
Yeah. Yes. And I will do my best because it's a lot. Now, um, in human design, you have two aspects of your chart. And if you've ever seen a body graph, and for those of you listening in, Google it so you can see what I'm talking about. When you
Mhm.
look at your chart, you have a row of boxes on the right in black and a row of boxes in left in red. Now,
Yes.
those rows, those are your astrological symbols, right? Your planets. Starting at the very first box is your sun, and then your earth, and then your moon, and then your north node, south node, and then so on and so forth, all of your planets.
Hmm.
So, and this is a binary, it's running off of your time and birth and date of location, your astrological chart in black, but everything in red, that's 88 degrees of the sun prior to birth. So about 90 days.
Hmm.
That's where you get your design chart. And so everything in human design is going off of the duality between those two charts. So your incarnation cross is your personality, sun, earth, and your design, sun, earth. And it's a combination of those four gates. And each of those gates
Hmm.
are in a specific line. But when it comes to the incarnation cross, it's essentially the energy between those four gates. Now, the confusing thing when it comes to incarnation crosses is that you can have the same incarnation cross as someone, but have a different sun um, gate in your personality because it just has to be those four boxes. So your sun and earth are always a binary, it's always a duality. So there are going to be two gates that are always opposite of each other. But for some people, those gates can be reversed or flipped onto the other side. And that personality sun, those four gates, the incarnation cross, the four gates of the incarnation cross make 70% of your personality. 70% come from those, the combination. And then 30% comes from everything else. So the incarnation cross is a really big deal because it helps you understand essentially 70% of who you are and what you're supposed to do here on this in this world.
Is that 30% what how we're raised, where do we live, and all that?
Yeah, and it also goes down to the different planets, right?
Mhm.
Like Mercury is your communication, right? And so then you're going to have a certain gate in Mercury on your design side and on your personality side. You know what I mean? Mars can kind of be like an immaturity aspect where you're a little bit prone to this type of like Mars fiery energy. And then you have the gate and the energy. And so you can look at all of your planets and see these minor aspects, your moon is what drives you in this life. You can see on your sun side and your personality. Same with the nodes, the north nodes and south nodes are kind of how you walk in this earth. And before the age of 40, you're walking from your south node, and after the age of 40 you flip into your north node. So each of the
Wow.
um, planets have their own meaning, and then
Hmm.
depending on what gate you have, depending on what line you have, depending on if they're in a center that's defined or undefined, depending on your type, your strategy and authority,
Yeah,
it all builds off of itself to create you and your unique human design chart.
I love that because it's actually very detailed. For everybody that it's listening, we probably lost you on this moon and sun and the gates and all that. But it's actually very interesting, even if you don't believe, maybe you're like, oh no, this is like some sort of like weird astrology type of thing. But it's actually four things combined into um, what we call human design. And I think for people are skeptic about it, even just for curiosity to just like see it and find out like your type and different things, that are in your blueprint are so, it's so cool. I think it's super cool to find out little things that you probably know are by yourself, but sometimes we kind of like forget or really don't see it in certain ways. So I think it's like super super cool. I mean, I'll say try it, see what you gain from it. It's a really cool experience, a really intricate chart that brings you nothing but just positive things. And I think that's why I was like so intrigued about it. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and yeah, for those, skeptics out there, I'm like, the proof is in the pudding. It just, look into yourself. It's funny because consistently, and I do chart analysis, I for people all around the world, and I've never met you before, and this is my first time ever interacting with you, and I'm talking about some of your deep, dark wounds that you didn't tell me.
Hmm.
We're talking about your conditioning, and we're talking about your personality, and how could I know that about? How could I possibly know that about?
Hmm.
And so for skeptics out there, it's just really like, do not take my word for any of this.
Right.
Go and look into it for yourself, see how it resonates you, and then step into your own experiment
Hmm.
and see how your life changes, right? That's why they call it an experiment. It's for you to experiment with and, better yourself with.
That's awesome. I
Mm.
mean, this has been great. I'm such a nerd about all these things. I'm like, I want to know, tell me more, tell me all the things. But I think this is just kind of like enough for people to actually, you know, give it a thought, think about it. What was it that they said? Why was this? Why are these generators and manifestors and all these things? I think this is just
Mm.
like such an amazing opportunity for everybody to just give it a try, Google it, see
Yeah.
what it is. I think it's just an amazing thing that can really help you to better your life and in such a very impactful way. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you would like to share with us that you know people needs to know about this human design?
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to what you said about, if we were all raised to be who we were designed to be, right? And I
Mhm.
have kids. I'm actively raising my kids in their design. And that's kind of the first thing that we're trained to look at in a chart. We're trained to look at the child in the
Yeah.
chart. How were you supposed to be raised? And how were you conditioned to be raised? Because in hypnotherapy, my experience, it's always goes back to those inner childhood wounds,
Hmm.
and that inner child is inside of all of us. And when we honor ourselves and we honor our design, we honor those inner childhood aspects. And that's when life gets really fun. You
Hmm.
know, you're bogged down by all these things that you don't want to do. I mean, life just, it's not fun anymore.
Right.
And for me, human design is all about taking my power back and taking my fun back. And so I'm happy to, I offer hypnotherapy sessions, and then I also offer human design. And then I do type of human design education where people are able to sit down with me and ask questions and really understand the human design system. So if there's anything I can do for anybody out there listening, send me a message and I'd love to educate you on what human design is.
Thank you. No, yes, for sure. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put all your information on the show notes, so people can find you and really, if they want to have a session or whatever, any other questions. I think that's like the best way to do it. Tell us what's your handles on social media.
At human design hypnotherapy. And I think
Nice.
there's some underscore. So it's like human underscore design underscore hypnotherapy.
Nice. And I will put that on the show notes so everybody can know where to go and where to find you. I mean, this is just such an amazing thing. Like, I just want to have someone like you tell me all these things that are so great. Because the more you know, I think the better you can, even just on decision making. I think it's such a great way to guide yourself for a lot of different things. So it's, and thank you for all the information. Thank you everybody for listening today. Remember, if you need to look me up, you can find me at alexvalgood.com on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere out there. Also, remember, my book is out. You can find it on Amazon. The name is Parents Are Greatest Teachers. If you like it, leave me a review, comment, DM me, do anything you want. I'm here for you. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. And thank you, Tresa, for being in the show.
Thanks.